Custom Robo for the Nintendo GameCube is the godfather of gatekeeping. I have never played a game that teases you so hard just to leave you with blue balls the size of RoboCubes. You would think a game with custom in the title would revel in letting its players experiment with various playstyles and different parts and choices. And to be fair, it does to an extent, but its execution ends up feeling more like a 9-hour tutorial. Now, I'd be lying if I said I had zero fun playing this game. If you don't know, Custom Robo is a rather unique arena shooter. You play as these literal killer robots that simultaneously children use as toys and the police use as stopping force. The game does go into why this is and how it becomes, and this dichotomy is, I would say, fairly explained in the story. But the gameplay is where Custom Robo really shines. Your murder bot comes equipped with a body, main gun, a bomb, a pod deployer, and feats. Each part can be customized, exchanging firepower for range or utility, a defensive strategy for a pure manhunt mindset, and mobility for anchoredness. The Holosseum, the arena where the battling happens, can change from battle to battle, sometimes even mid-battle, truly customizing each experience for peak player pleasure. And damn man, the controls are smooth. We get 60 frames per second. The feeling of choosing a really solid combination does pay off. So what exactly is the issue? What problem could I have with a game with a solid story and a good mechanic? Well, I don't know how else to say this other than giving you straight numbers. I counted about 72 total battles throughout my 9-hour playthrough, and only 6 of those battles were optional/extra, and they were all right before the final boss of the main story. This means that 83% of the game's battles have significant weight associated with it. The player losing the game, and the game has no qualms about teasing you for your loss and lack of skill. Now, that would be okay if the player had a standardized moveset that grows over time. But the whole point of Custom Robo is you have options to choose from and try out, and you gain parts frequently. So you want to try these new parts as you gain them pretty much after each battle. But you find that you can't test these parts without putting the story at risk by losing and being made fun of by the game. Like seriously, what the fuck? Imagine if every Pokemon battle, imagine if in Pokemon, every battle was against a trainer, either a trainer on the roads or in the gym, and there were no wild Pokemon encounters, and they dropped TM. So yeah, you can change your Pokemon's moves, cool, but you have 0 exhibition matches to just try out a fight to gain experience. And it's only right before the Elite Four that you can finally fight against wild Pokemon, and even then you can only battle a certain amount, and then you're off to the finale. This is what I mean by Custom Robo is the godfather of gatekeeping. They don't let you experiment at all and just enjoy their game. Every day after the story segments are over, the player can roam around the map, but there is nothing to do. For God's sake, there is a training center with training robots to train with. But literally, the day of the story that you should be able to train at the training center with the training robots, the story strips that ability away from the player and gives you absolutely no option to get it back. Sure, in the pause menu, you can enter the Custom Robo menu, select a new loadout, and try out your weapons in a test arena. You can also do this right before a battle in the Customize menu. But 1, this AI is fundamental at best, and does not offer anywhere near a challenge as even the first story mission fight. Meaning you'll feel like a badass comboing in the test arena only to get cooked when the story AI has 0 chill. And number 2, as far as I know, You can't change the enemy's gear or test your loadout against a specific enemy loadout, meaning every first encounter against a powerful loadout is really up to how fast you can adapt on the fly, provided you aren't trying out a brand new weapon yourself and you thought you were hot shit. It just makes making mistakes a huge deal, with poor opportunity to really hone your skills with the variety of parts that you receive. And that's including the fact that when you want to fight and play the goddamn game, the fun is shooed away from you by the story itself. And then the game has the audacity to laugh at you when you lose. This game would have been leagues better if there were a few jobbers around to battle with, without the looming threat of watching the losing cutscene followed by the initial battle intro again. The developers definitely agreed because jobbers were added into the next Custom Robo title, but that's for another video. Oh, did I mention that you cannot manually save ever? You have to play until the game autosaves before you can turn off your console. Fantastic! This game is just a walking simulator in disguise. I never noticed until my recent playthrough just how little choice you have. It has the audacity at points to offer a selection of responses to choose from. For the most part, these are silly and, quite frankly, very puerile. But occasionally you can choose an option that exposes a little backstory or something like that. But perhaps the most egregious are the choices you get after someone explains something to you for the 40th time. Dead ass. Oh, I didn't mention that, right? Those 72 battles minus the 6 or so extra battles, optional battle, about 60 of those battles, those mandatory story battles, have someone literally giving away a game-changing hint or telling you a tip that you likely figured out because you're not a scarecrow and you have a brain. And they do this right before the match. Every time. And every time they will ask, "Got it?" Let me tell you something real quick. Don't say anything else other than "got it." You got it? Because if you choose any other option than "got it," your helpful friend will chastise you for either not getting it or not being serious in the moment, and then repeat the tip word for word. Got it? Good, because I hate repeating myself, and quite frankly, I wish some of these characters did too. Now I've said all this while avoiding anything specific about the story, and honestly that's because I think the story is the best thing about this game. It's a fairly short game, but the story is paced out really well. The player can make, and yes, I did flip a page, I wrote this out. The player can make obvious assumptions as they are foreshadowed in the story, but the bigger reveal has a very good payoff, and I don't think many people would see it coming. It makes me sad though that this was as deep a story as the West would get from Custom Robo, because its sequel/prequel potential is actually strong. I won't spoil it at all, you'll have to play it for yourself, or you can wait until my next Custom Robo video. But then, remembering everything else in this game, it's really not surprising this series didn't take off in the West, and it received middling scores from reviewers at the time of its release. Custom Robo for GameCube, or Custom Robo Battle Revolution in Japan, sold very well considering the exclusive Japanese market. It's sad that I can only imagine a few who, either through rose-tinted nostalgia glasses, myself included, or via experiencing the multiplayer with friends, which likely offered a much more forgiving and fun environment, really think fondly over this game. I'll admit, When I came back to this game, I was remembering the best times I had with the battle system and also the awesome music. Jesus, how the hell did I not mention the music this whole time? The music is fantastic. I think the music gives it a very futuristic and, technological vibe, and it really meshes well with the art direction and presentation. And I know the game looks very dated, but at the time, it was very simple and it achieved what it wanted to do by having a technologically advanced civilization that I don't want to spoil too much. Definitely one of the best 3 things about this game is the music. But the actual game itself, it felt like the story took way too much precedence and the player satisfaction was left by the wayside or was expected to be fulfilled by the story. And the ultimate linearity of the story, to the point that the story literally locks you out of just enjoying a simple exhibition match with a training bot, overshadows the complexity and reward of discovering your new strategies with your parts, gaining those new parts, and customizing the goddamn robo. Look, here's more numbers, plus a little bit of an explanation. The game has these parts generators that allow you to use certain parts after a certain number of battles. And I do mean allow, because the game pretends that your robo downloads the data or some shit like that after a battle, but this is a lie, because some battles yield parts that the robo you just defeated wasn't using. Regardless, this is the only method in the game to get new parts. Fight a story battle and be allowed that new part. So what percentage of total parts do you receive over the course of the story? Combining 34 body types, 52 guns, 41 different bombs, 44 wild pods, and 16 little feats, we have 187 total parts. And over the course of the story, by the time you've beaten the last boss, we only get about 79 parts, or just about 42%. And the rest of the 58%, well, you get that during the tournament saga after the story, and you can't save manually during that either. So you see, Custom Robo for the GameCube, as much as I would like to say that it was an amazing game and that I see people now are having retrospectives and they're like, this is the best one of the best GameCube games. Man, keep that shit to yourself, because coming back to this game and playing it with, I guess, a more mature or adult eye was very, very hard. This game doesn't really feel like a game, and it feels like a huge advertisement for the Custom Robo license. It doesn't actually... you have fun playing the battles. You do battle. You do choose parts. You do have agency. I'm not going to lie and say that the game is a walking simulator. Totally. But the amount of choices you have, the linearity of it, it really hurts the game in the end. And it's not a surprise that this really didn't take off in the West. This game is so rigid and so gatekeeping that it doesn't feel like it wants you to play it. It feels like it wants you to marvel at the Custom Robo license. And I would gladly do that if the game also let me play it, instead of just following a clear, structured story with an emphasis on customizing and trying out new parts and new gadgets and body types without allowing you to actually try out the new parts, body. Like, it doesn't make sense. Imagine if in Pokemon, all you did was fight the trainers and they gave you your TM. So yeah, you can change your moves, but all you did was fight the trainers. Never had any variants or exhibition matches that just allowed you to try out a strategy or to see what works. And every battle has dire consequences, and the game will ridicule you for failing. It's quite honestly ridiculous. And aside from the multiplayer component of this game, which I can imagine is incredibly fun, because The gameplay is fun. The battle system is fun. There's no lie about that. It's a great, that's what I remember. That's what the nostalgia was bringing back, was those awesome battles, the awesome music. But you can't play it unless you're allowed to. You can't, it feels very constricting. And the fact that this game didn't blow up, I think it really, really shows. So if you guys like this little, I don't know, this, what would you call this? Like a little old man rant? Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe, and stay tuned for some more old games where we look at whether they really do stand the test of time. Were they as glorious as those rose-tinted glasses help us to remember? Or were they just pieces of shit like Custom Robo?